Namaste and welcome to our continuing series, The Life Divine with Ranganath. We are in chapter Indeterminates, Cosmic Determinations and the Indeterminable. On page number 322, from the paragraph, It is only when we follow.
As usual, to get the sense of continuity, we are meeting after 1 week. So, I will read out the summary of what he has said in the previous paragraph so that we know the context and we can follow the sequence of the argument. Okay, so in the previous para, actually what he is doing is, we have seen the cosmic determinates and the indeterminates. As we keep going higher and higher, we are going into a more and more abstract and a more and more consciousness, force and substance and also ananda, which is featureless. It is becoming more and more indeterminate. And the more higher you go, finally you arrive at something which is indeterminable. That means to say, you can't ascribe any fixed qualities to the divine. He has all the qualities that he needs to have, or according to us he need not have also, but he has everything that is there. So Srimad is now trying to find the source of all this. From where has all this come? Okay, so if we are a materialist, we start naturally from the bottom, and then you find that it is not solving your problem, so you go to the next step. There also you find it is not solving the problem, you go to the next step. So this is the logic that he is following. Okay, so now I'll read out what he has said previously and then we come to this. The present para today. But if we start our quest from the bottom at matter, which science is doing, the thick, dense veil of matter does not allow any clear view. There is obscure, we don't see the reality of anything. Nor does life do any better. Is it better at the life level? That also we don't know. Even mind, seeming to give knowledge, only gives us the outermost processes of things. Life and mind too are entrenched and involved in matter to be of any help. To know the secret origin of the universe, we have to go to the source above mind in an evolutionary ascent to the supermind. So anyway, this is what he is saying. So we have to keep going higher and higher until we hit a point which seems to be the origin of everything. Okay? So, this is what he said in the previous para. Matter does not reveal anything to you. Science is not being able to find out the origin of everything. They take it that it is matter, but we find that it's not very satisfactory. They go higher and higher. In life, same problem. In mind also, you seem to have knowledge, but again the same thing. So now you go even higher up. That's what he's describing now. I'm reading the next para. It is only when we follow the yogic process of quieting the mind itself that a profounder result of our self-observation becomes possible. For first we discover that mind is a subtle substance, a general determinate or generic indeterminate, okay, which mental energy, when it operates, throws into forms or particular determinations of itself. Thoughts, concepts, percepts, mental sentiments, activities of will and reactions of feeling, but which, when the energy is quiescent, can live either in an inert torpor or in an immobile silence and peace of self-existence. Next we see that the determinations of our mind do not at all proceed from itself. For waves and currents of mental energy enter into it from outside. These take form in it and appear already formed from some universal mind or from other minds and are accepted by us as our own thinking. We can perceive also an occult or subliminal mind in ourselves, from which thoughts and perceptions and will impulses and mental feelings arise. We can perceive too higher planes of consciousness from which a superior mind energy works through us or upon us. Finally, we discover that which observes all this is a mental being supporting the mind substance and mind energy. Without this presence, their upholder and source of sanctions, they could not exist or operate. This mental being or Purusha first appears as a silent witness, and if that were all, we would have to accept the determinations of mind as a phenomenal activity imposed upon the being by nature, by Prakriti, or else as a creation presented to it by Prakriti, a world of thought which nature constructs and offers to the observing Purusha. But afterwards we find that the Purusha, the mental being, can depart from its posture of a silent and accepting witness. It can become the source of reactions, accept, reject, even rule and regulate, become the giver of the command, the knower. And knowledge also arises that this mind substance manifests the mental being, is its own expressive substance, and mental energy is its own conscious force, so that it is reasonable to conclude that all mind determinations arise from the being of the Purusha. But this conclusion is complicated by the fact that from another viewpoint, our personal mind seems to be little more than a formation of universal mind, an engine for the reception, modification, propagation of cosmic thought waves, idea currents, will suggestions, waves of feeling, sense suggestions, form suggestions. It has no doubt its own already realized expression, predispositions, propensities, personal temperament and nature. What comes from the universal can only find a place there if it is accepted and assimilated into the self-expression of the individual mental being, the personal Prakriti of the Purusha. But still, in view of these complexities, the question remains entire whether all this evolution and action is a phenomenal creation by some universal energy presented to the mental being, or an activity imposed by mind energy on the Purusha's indeterminate, perhaps indeterminable existence, or whether the whole is something predetermined by some dynamic truth of self within and only manifested on the mind surface. To know that, we would have to touch or to enter into a cosmic state of being and consciousness to which the totality of things and their integral principle would be better manifest than to our limited mind experience. A huge para with a huge number of suggestions. Sri Aurobindo packs in so much meaning into his paragraphs. Okay, so we'll have to go phrase by phrase, not even sentence by sentence, and we'll have to see. So, I'm reading out the summary of what he's saying here so that we get the total idea. Then we go into the details. Okay, so he's saying in the beginning, so he has told you that to find the source of all this universe and all this manifestation and this mystery that we are seeing, there is a consciousness and there is also a force, there is a purpose and there is also oneness, there is a law that is operating, yet there is a chance element also, there is a freedom also. So this is a big problem. There is variation, yet there is law. So what is the source of all this? So he has said we have to keep going higher and higher until we reach a point where we feel that we can get the solution to this whole problem. So, and he has said we have to go beyond the mind. So, but how to go beyond the mind? By silencing it. Okay? So, by silencing it. Then we perceive a witness consciousness watching, observing all movements of lower nature without judgment, uninvolved, objective, unconcerned. This is the experience of the self. He is calling it a witness consciousness. In Sanskrit we say sakshi. And a sakshi he is just watching without judgment and without any reaction at all. He is seeing everything is coming into him, but he is not reacting. Okay? So this is the experience when you make your mind silent. But then it rises higher and becomes Anumanta, permission giver, Bharta, the withholder, the supporter, okay, Bhokta, the enjoyer, Ishvara, and master. He becomes first he is only watching, then he watches the lower and becomes master of that also. So, Purusha graduates, grows from mere witness to master and controller. Basically, this is what he is saying. There is a growth of the self. So now we go back to the beginning of the para, the huge para, and we look at all the words that he is using and what he is saying. I'll go phrase by phrase. It is only when we follow the yogic process of quieting the mind itself that a profounder result of our self-observation becomes possible. We are observing, we can observe the nature outside, but we can also observe ourselves inwards, self-observation. What are my thoughts? What are my sentiments? Okay, what is my action coming from? Where is my action coming from? A self-analysis if you want, a self-observation. Not easy because we always get colored and the ego is there and we always either overestimate ourselves or we underestimate ourselves. And note interestingly that the underestimation is not something better than overestimation. Okay, it is equally bad. The overestimation is the egoistic reaction and you think yourself to be far greater than what you are, but that's not it. Even this self-denigration, okay, thinking that I am not capable of this and I am incapable.
That's the negative side of ego.
Negative ego. In a sense, it is even worse.
Yes.
It is better to have confidence than to have no confidence at all. Okay, so very often you will see humble people being overrated. Okay, oh, he's so humble, he's so nice. No, he has an ego. From the spiritual point of view, he is not better. But from a normal moral point of view, maybe he is better than one who is egoistic and self-assertive. But from the spiritual point of view, no, he is at the same level. So this is what Sandra is saying. It's only when we follow the yogic process of quieting the mind itself that a profound result of our self-observation becomes possible. Now the question comes up, he's saying it is only when we follow. Can we get the self without a yogic process? Is it possible? If it is possible, then you have developed yourself in the past life. So this goes on coming. So it is possible that sometimes you may get for a short while you may get that experience of the self. We have had many cases in the ashram where the Brahman consciousness, as Sri Aurobindo calls it, was experienced by several people. It lasts for several months, it can last for a few hours, it can last even for a very short while. It can happen. But if you are in this life, if you want it and you are pursuing a yogic process, it is possible to make the mind silent. But it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. Someone asked the mother, how to silence the mind? So invariably mother's answer is always, how to do this, how to do that. First thing mother will tell you, you have to want it. You must sincerely want it. Not as a casual, a curious fellow, oh, it would be nice if I got it. No, that won't do. You must have a real interest in it and you must say, yes, I want it. Okay? And then pursue it. So, wanting, and then if you want it, automatically the path will be shown to you. This is what you have to do. So now you go to the silent mind. For first we discover that mind is a subtle substance, a general determinate or a generic indeterminate. Now, we have to understand this. The first sentence is easy. For first we discover that mind is a subtle substance. Subtle substance. It is a material, but it is subtle. This table is material, it is substance, but it is solid substance. Then we have liquid substance, which is slightly more subtle. Then you have water vapor, which is even more subtle. Clouds also are matter, but they are subtle. Thoughts are subtle substance, Nyanendra is saying. So in other words, you may not see it, but it is visible to those who are capable of it. You can develop the capacity to have subtle sight, you will be able to see the thoughts of others. Okay? Because it's a substance. In Indian philosophy, we say that if you are imagining a mountain, the mental substance that you have takes the form of a mountain. So if you can see, he is thinking of a mountain. He is thinking of this. You will be able to say. Okay? I think I have given you one or two examples also, interestingly. I'll just give it to you so that thought reading is possible. Okay? There was in the 1950s, mother used to give blessings, okay, either a flower or whatever. That particular day she was giving roses to people, and we were all going in a line, and there is one girl who 5 or 6 people are there before her, and she thinks, a thought enters her mind, she is giving red roses to everybody, but I don't think she is going to give me a red rose. Okay, this is a thought in her mind. As soon as she goes to mother tells her in French, okay, c'est ce que tu crois, et voilà. That means, oh, that's what you think? Okay, then here you are. And she gives a red rose to the person concerned. So, thought reading, okay? So, mother knows thought reading. Not only thoughts, but she can see events which are there, which is not there. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. Mother knew that the nursing home on the sea beach, the ashram nursing home, it was an empty plot before. There was no ashram nursing home then. And that plot belonged to somebody. And that somebody had an idea that maybe I can donate this to the ashram. But he never spoke to anybody. But mother received that thought suggestion. And when the dispensary head, Dr. Nripendra, he wanted to build a nursing home, because he was using, before that, he was using rented houses for the nursing home. So here, there we used to go, okay. So, mother told him, yes, you will get a nursing home and your place will be there near that beach, near the park guest house, there is a place that will come to you. So, and she even gave the name of the person who is going to donate that. So, Nepeta went, and I may not be very accurate in the exact words, but this is the event that happened. He went to that person and said, oh, you have decided to give the that plot of land for the ashram to the ashram. He said, how do you know? Well, mother told me, but I have not told anything to anybody. So here is mother already seeing what's happening. Okay, this is one thing. Then there are many other cases. I mean, we know that mother is capable of reading thoughts and all that. Okay, there are many things which we can discuss this question, how it comes. It can come through expressions, it can come through subtle ways, it can come exactly in a spiritual way, it can come in many ways. Okay, but
is it usually intuition?
It depends at which level. You can even have it at the higher level, but it is usually intuition which comes from the intuitive level and enters the lower levels of mind. Okay, higher mind, elemental mind, and intuitive mind. It can come from the higher levels of consciousness. It can come even from the highest. It can come. It depends on you how you are receiving. Okay. During the Bangladesh war, before the Bangladesh war started, actually the war was declared in December, and one of our people in the ashram wanted to go to Bengal, Darjeeling and all that. He wanted to go. So he told mother, I want to go. Mother said, this is in October. And she said, how are you going to go there? There's a war going on. Because actually the Mukti Bahini had started already, the war. India was training the Mukti Bahini, and they were being trained and they were entering Bengal already. But the war was declared only when Pakistan attacked on the Western Front. Then the war was declared in December. But the war was going on.
71.
Huh? 71. Yeah, 71. Okay. So, all right. So, this is you make the mind silent, your substance. stops making waves. Okay? So, first we discover that mind is a subtle substance, number one. A general determinate or a generic indeterminate. What do these two phrases mean? Let's have a clear look. A general determinate. A determinate is something which has got features. Okay? It's got features. And a generic indeterminate is that which is I'll give you an example, then it becomes very clear, okay? Let's take molten metal, okay? You have a huge amount of molten metal. It is a indeterminate, okay? In a limited way. It has not yet taken any definite form and shape, okay? But I can make that into ingots, I can make that into rail, patti, I can make that into wires, okay? I can do so many things. I can make that into steel rods. So those are so it is, the indeterminate is generating determinate forms, okay? So, but if you go above that, there will be something which is even subtler than that. So, this is what he is talking about. I had made a chart, but I have still not gone down to giving that chart here because there is a chapter. Okay, let's take life, then it becomes even clearer. Okay, life itself is something. It's a principle. It's an indeterminate, but life takes a form of vertebrates and invertebrates. Okay, this is a better example. Okay, it divides itself, it produces all living creatures are either vertebrates or invertebrates. Now they may have discovered something which is something else, but usually these are the two. Now let's take only the vertebrates, because the vertebrates are normally 5 and the invertebrates are normally 8. Okay, insects and mollusks and this and that, all sorts of crabs, all the different type of things. The vertebrates are mammals, okay, fish, birds, amphibians and reptiles. They all have vertebrates. So, life is the indeterminate. These 5 vertebrates are the determinates. Clear? Because they have taken a shape and a form. There is a feature. And now, take the mammals. And what happens? The mammals now was a general determinate of life. But itself it becomes a generic indeterminate for those things which come below it. So now the mammals can produce cats, dogs, okay, horses, zebras, monkeys, human beings. So these are the generic, the mammal family becomes the generic indeterminate, that which is capable of generating, and below it is the determinates. Okay, but this process goes on indefinitely. Take even let's take only the cat family. Okay, now the cat is a determinate of the generic of the general indeterminate mammals, but that also is a determinate of something above it. So anything that you see, if you go above it, the source, that's the generic indeterminate, and it is itself the source of other determinations. If you take the cat family, are there only one type of cat family? No. There are lions, there are tigers, there are cats, there are lynx, okay? And there are so many other different types of leopards, cheetahs, okay? So these are all, again, it goes on like that. Then all the cheetahs are all same? No. Again, there's a variation. So this is what he's saying. Okay, so when you speak of mental substance, it is itself a general determinate. What is determinating it? Satchidananda. Satchidananda is producing ether, air, fire, water, earth. So the mental substance is a product of Satchidananda. Okay, so Satchidananda is the indeterminate, and below it, the mental substance is a determinate, And the mental substance can also produce things. Same way telling you, it can produce thoughts, feelings, okay, determinations, sensations. These are the determinates. So now you understand the phrase? So, first we discover that mind is a subtle substance. Okay? It's a substance without form. But it can take forms. A general determinate or generic indeterminate. It is both. If you look upwards, it is a determinate. If you look downwards, it's an indeterminate. Is it clear? Okay, so, and the word generic is interesting. Generic, that which is going to generate things. So, and general determinate, it is something general. The word general is the normal sense of the word. A generic, that which is capable of generating, giving birth to. Okay? The mammals are giving birth to these families. The cat family is generating different types of cats. So it goes on like that. Okay? So, which mental energy, when it operates, throws into forms or particular determinations of itself. Now, the mental substance which is general, okay, it is an indeterminate so far as the other things are concerned. What is it producing? It can produce thoughts. It can produce concepts. It can produce percepts. It can produce mental sentiments. It can produce activities of will. It can produce reactions of feeling. But which, when the energy is quiescent, can live either in an inert torpor or in an immobile silence and peace of self-existence. So, this mental substance can activate and produce all these thoughts, or it can be absolutely thoughtless, like a sea which is producing waves, or the sea is absolutely calm without waves. Okay? So, when the mental substance is absolutely calm, you become the witness self. There are no thoughts and your consciousness rises and goes above the mind which is normally turbulent and is full of waves. Each wave is a thought or is not necessarily a thought. Now, if you ask me, what is the difference between thought, concept, percept, mental substance, sentiments, activities of will and reactions of feeling, we'll have to go very deep into it and I'm not sure I'll be able to tell you the difference. For instance, a thought. Okay? Let's see whether we can make out something from what is the difference between thoughts and concepts. Okay? A thought is something which could be expressed perhaps. And a concept is something
visualized,
which you have not, it's a visualization, but maybe it is not yet capable of expression. I'm not sure.
right?
It's quite difficult. Probably you'll have to experience it to know what it is exactly saying. Okay, so thoughts, concepts, percepts. Percept is relatively easier.
Okay, I think it's thoughts is something like you see something and you have a thought. It's immediate.
That's percept. When
Right.
there is a perception and there is a reaction to that, that's a percept.
Perception. Right.
It is based on a perception. But the thought need not be on a perception. You can close your eyes and you can have a thought.
Right.
And a concept is something maybe which your own mind is producing. A concept. You are conceiving. A thought may be that you are not thinking, it is coming into your mind. I think later on he will tell you that. It's becoming slightly clearer, but I am not sure at all. So the difference is very subtle. Okay, but so they are using these words, so surely there is a difference. But a percept is easier. You see something, or you hear something, or you touch something, or you smell something. It's a percept, and then there is a thought in the mind. It generates a thought. But mind you, the percept is disturbing the mental substance. Okay? But when you are a witness, the perception does not trouble the mental substance. The mind remains absolutely calm and quiet. There is no reaction.
In what? In perception, there's no reaction.
The perception, when you are in the silent mind, the substance of the mind is not disturbed by the perception. It's absolutely calm and quiet. You're not reacting at all. There's another way of putting this, okay? We'll put it that way. When you are in the universe, there are two things. This concept is not there in Western philosophy. It's there in India. You have, the world is interacting with you and you are interacting with the world. This is a constant thing. Things are coming to you from the world through your senses. And you are interacting with the world through your words and your actions. Okay? So, these are called Nyanendra and Karmendra. Okay? The Nyanendra, I don't know if you have discussed this earlier, but Nyanendra is your senses are generating knowledge of the physical world. The senses, okay? The eyes are seeing things and you understand. The ears, eyes, nose, tongue and skin. They are the Jnanendriya. They are senses connected with knowledge. Knowledge or information may be more accurate, okay? It's giving you information of the physical world. But you are also interacting with the world. How? I can act, okay? I can use my hands to have a physical effect in the physical world, okay? I can fill a glass with water, I am interacting in the physical world. I can slap somebody or I can console somebody by gently touching him. So I am having an effect in the physical world. So the first karmendriyas are the hands, the legs, okay, and the two organs at the lower end of the body. You are interacting with the world, okay. Something which is not there in the world, you are throwing out into the world, okay. Excretion and excretion in both ways, okay. Then speech. With speech, I can have a tremendous effect in the physical world. I can use kind words and someone will be affected in the physical world. I can use harsh words and someone will get angry in the physical world. So, there is constant interaction between the individual and the universe. But when your mind is silent, it's a one-way traffic. Okay? In fact, there is no traffic at all. The perceptions are coming, but there is no reaction. You are seeing everything, you are understanding everything, you are smelling, you are hearing, you are maybe even touching things, but no reaction. Okay? There is absolutely no reaction to these things. So percept, we came to this because of percept. Percept is a mental reaction to a perception from outside. Okay? Now what about the other word? We are trying to understand, okay, what these differences are. Thoughts, concepts, percepts, mental sentiments. Now, a sentiment is not typically mental. It is more in the vital.
Vital, emotional.
Emotion. So, mental sentiment, but emotion need not be absolutely limited only to the vital. It has an effect on the mind. If I have a sentiment, my mind is participating in it. So it's a vital mind.
In fact, I think there is a letter of Sri Aurobindo where someone is asking him, can a mental love exist? And he says it is possible, because love is not only something of the heart or the vital, but it can be a mental love, which is of ideas and, ideals and...
See, there can be a physical love, which you normally translate as lust. Okay? Then there can be vital love, which is selfish. Then there can be a mental love, which you are thinking of an idealistic type of love. Of course, there is a little ego in it, but it can be platonic love. Okay? So there are all these. Then there is spiritual love, which asks for nothing at all.
Then there's psychic love as well.
Yes, that's right.
And
Psychic love is the purest.
Purest, yes.
So this is, that way, so the mental sentiment. Then activities of will. Now, Sriyanda is using the word activity of will. Now, will is a determination that you are going to do this thing. But it can only remain static or it can become active. So activity of will is originating somewhere in the mind also and the vital, both. Both these belong to the vital and the mind, both. Reactions of feelings. Okay? Feelings are there and you are reacting. There is a reaction from the vital as well as the mind. Okay? So, but which, when the energy is quiescent, can live either in an inert torpor or in an immobile silence and peace of self-existence. Now, inert torpor, okay, can be very bottom. The inert torpor is not a spiritual condition. A silent mind is immobile silence and peace of self-existence. Certainly, you are fully conscious. But inert torpor is an unconscious non-reaction. You are not reacting, but it is out of laziness and out of unconsciousness. Torpor, okay? So, inert torpor, no reactions at all. But it can also be very, very conscious. You are absolutely awake, but you are not reacting at all. Like the water behind the dam. Can we say it is static? But when it is static, can I say that it is not, there is no force in it? I can't say there is no force in it. There is force in it, but it is static. Or another example which you normally give is the horses just before the race, or your 100-meter race. 8 contestants are all on your marks. They are static. Can we say they are without force? Of course not, because as soon as the signal is given, they start rushing with great force. So force held back. Okay? Force held back, or the force itself is not there. Inert torpor. So see how many things he is telling you in a few words, but you have to understand exactly what he is saying. And some of this is difficult to understand also. So, there you are. Thoughts, concepts, percepts, okay? Mental sentiments, activities of will, because will can also be static, okay? I can have a will that I have to do this, but I'm not going to do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. So it's not an activity yet, okay? So activity of will and reactions of feeling, but which, when the energy is quiescent, and this quiescent energy can be of two types. It can be absolutely half dead, or it can be fully alive but inactive. Okay? So that's why he's saying it can be an inert torpor or an immobile silence and peace of self-existence. This inert torpor is, a good example is a stone. Okay? It's not going to do anything by itself. But if the signal is given, the horses will run or the contestants will run. It's power held back. Okay? So he has told you so many things. First of all, we have to understand subtle substance. Then the subtle substance can be static or it can be in movement. Again, to give yourself a picture of that, think of the sea. Okay? The sea is the substance. Think of the sea, the water in the sea, as not salty, not transparent, absolutely transparent, and not dark and dingy, no salt in it, nothing, and transparent, and it is static. So that's a mental substance when it is calm and quiet. When the waves start forming, that's our normal consciousness. Our thoughts are all waves from this mental substance. Okay? Then the mental substance can take different forms. The wave can be big, the wave can be small, it can be a small ripple, or it can be a big wave which crashes on the shore, or it can destroy also. So these are all the thoughts, concepts, percepts, mental substance, etc. Okay? So, can either be in an inert torpor or in an immobile silence and peace of self-existence. Next, we see that the determinations of our mind, which he has listed above, okay, do not proceed from itself. They are not coming from my mental substance. They are coming from somewhere else. And where are they coming from? For waves and currents of mental energy enter into it from outside. These take form in it and appear already formed in some universal mind or from other minds and are accepted by us as our own thinking. So let's try and understand what he's saying. When you are having a thought, you think that you are thinking. That's an illusion. Thoughts are coming from outside. Thoughts come to you from the mental universal mind. Just like there is universal matter and your individual body is a small formation of universal matter, exactly in the same way, your vital also is a small formation of universal prana, universal energy, universal life. Okay? There is a whole field which is above it's a subtler than matter, but it is also substance. Then there is the mental substance which is even subtler and it's universal. So these things are your mental apparatus is a small formation of the universal mind. Exactly like a wave is a small formation of the seawater, of the ocean. Exactly in the same way. And when we are the wave, we think that I am the wave and I am moving towards the shore. You are not. It's the ocean that is making you go towards the shore. Okay? So this is what he's saying. We now see that I am not thinking. My mind is absolutely calm and quiet and thoughts are entering it from outside. I am watching. I am a witness. This is the experience of the self. Okay? You can call it the self. It's the same phenomena. You can call it the Atman. You can call it Brahmic consciousness. You can call it also Nirvana. The Buddhists call it Nirvana. Because it's a blowing out of you blow out, you snuff out the existence of the world. It doesn't exist anymore. It's like blowing out a candle. You blow it and it disappears. The world has disappeared. It's not real anymore to you.
Or, the lotus leaf example. The lotus leaf example, when you put water in it, it just falls off.
Yeah.
So the world also, just falls away.
That's the image in the Gita, and that's a wonderful image. That's exactly what happens. All the perceptions are coming in, sights, sounds and all, but you are left untouched. Normally when I see something, I get either attracted or repulsed. There is a reaction from me. That's why I went into Nyanendra and Karmendra. Now the Karmendras are not working at all. The Jnanas are coming in but producing no effect in you at all. This is the self. Okay? So this is what Sandra is describing here. And then when you experience, you see that these thoughts are coming from outside, the emotions are coming from outside, just as also your food for your body is coming from outside. Okay? So there is an interaction with the universe at the physical level, at the vital level, and at the mental level. Okay? So that's what he's saying. Next we see that the determination of our mind. And what are the determinations? He has told you. Okay? Thoughts, percepts, concepts, mental sentiments, etc. These are all coming from of our mind, do not at all proceed from itself. For waves and currents of mental energy enter into it from outside. These take form in it and appear already formed from some universal mind from from other minds and are accepted by us as our own thinking. So it is like some substance comes into your mind and then you give it a shape and you think that it's your thought. Okay, this is very interesting. In Synthesis, another place he has also described this process. So it is like this. Either the mental substance can enter into your mind and you give it a form. It becomes your thought. And you export it also. It goes out. He says it is something like, I'll put it that way, okay? I can import steel. It's a raw material, and I make a car in India. Okay? So I am importing raw material and making a car in India. From the universal mind, I take mental substance and I give it a thought form in my own mind. It's the same thing. Or I can take parts from outside, from another country, and put them together and assemble something. Also, other thoughts are coming. I take this thought, I take that thought, parts I'm taking and assembling them, and I produce a thought of my own, which is a combination of all these things. So all these things are possible. Or I import a full car, manufactured car, I import into India. A thought is already there, fully formed. I am not giving it shape. It comes into my mind. So all these things are possible. Okay? This description is given in synthesis. So you can take mental substance and give it a form on your own. You can take semi-manufactured mental substance and add your own to it. Okay? That you can do and assemble it. Or you can take a fully manufactured thought coming from outside into your own mind. The example I gave you just now about mother reading the other mind is exactly that. It goes into her mind and she knows what the other person is thinking. So that's what Swami is saying here. He's saying, next we see that the determinations of our mind do not at all proceed from itself. For waves and currents of mental energy enter into it from outside. These take form in it or appear already formed from some universal mind or from other minds and are accepted by us as our own thinking. When they are coming from universal mind, they can be fully manufactured thought or a semi-manufactured thought. And when it is coming from other minds, also same thing, and are accepted by us as our own thinking. We can perceive also an occult or subliminal mind. Okay? Now another thing. We can perceive also an occult or subliminal mind in ourselves, from which thoughts and perceptions and will impulses and mental feelings arise. So, now this is interesting. He is talking of a subliminal mind. What is a subliminal mind? The subliminal mind, we'll have to go back to the basic idea that the individual and the universal connected. The universal, or rather I'll put it this way, the individual is a condensation of the universal. The individual is a zipped form, if you want, of the universe. Whatever is there in the universe is there in bits. Okay? The vast matter has been compressed into one single body. The vast universal plane of prana has been compressed into his vital. The vast universal plane of mind substance, a little taken and your mind is made. So the individual is nothing but a condensation or a representation of the universal. That's why you can expand and go back to the universal. Just as you can in your computer, you can, your data is occupying too much space, you condense it, zip it and make it smaller. You make it condensed form, then you can open it again and again go back to the original form. So, this is what you have to understand, that we can perceive also an occult or subliminal mind in ourselves. So, I was explaining a subliminal mind. So, you are in the universe. So, in that case, what happens? There is something above you, there is something inside you, there is something below you, there is something also around you. Okay, that's a universe. You're surrounded by the universe. A wave is surrounded by the sea. Okay, but there is a sky above it, and there is an ocean below it, and there are waves around it. So exactly in the same way, the subliminal mind is the subliminal being, is that which is inside you. And the subliminal being is a storehouse of all your experiences in all the lives. Whatever you have experienced in your other lives is stored in a energy form, in a condensed form in your own self. Okay? The subconscious and the subliminal, if you go into your subliminal, fully you can be conscious. But if you enter into the subconscious, it is stored in a darkness, in the subconscious.
There is also storehouse, no?
Huh?
Subconscious also storehouse.
It's a storehouse. Also it's a storehouse.
Subliminal also storehouse.
Is a storehouse. Okay? Yeah. And subliminal is a storehouse of all your past lives events also. So what is stored? Okay? Because every time you have a new life, you don't start life from scratch. You start from where you left off in your previous life. How does that happen? This is something also that we must understand. Suppose I'm a soldier in this life. Am I likely to retain all the experience of soldier? I fought that and I destroyed that tank, and this fellow injured me. Can we remember all these things? No. The essence of your life as a soldier is retained and taken and carried over to the next life. And what is the essence of a soldier's life? What will he learn? He will learn courage.
Sacrifice.
So courage is, and the possibility of facing danger. This is what he will carry over. Suppose you are an artist in this life. What will you carry over to your next life?
Beauty.
You will carry over aesthetic capacity. Okay? So this is how the things are stored in the, but in the subliminal, these things, even the details can also be there. They are not, they don't get destroyed. They can be recovered.
And here Sri Aurobindo uses occult or subliminal. Occult or subliminal. And I feel the occult planes are higher. Is that so?
Occult is
Higher?
secret.
Secret.
The word occult is secret.
Right. So it can be anywhere, inner and higher.
Yeah. Normally when you use the word occultism, science is the art of using the laws of the physical world. Occultism is the science of using the laws of the vital world. Normally. And to a certain extent mental world also. But normally it's used in the sense of using the vital world. The laws of the vital world you know and you can manipulate them. Just like science knows the laws of the physical world. Okay? So occult, normally the meaning is secret. Hidden from us in that sense. So next we see that the determination that we have read, okay? We can perceive also an occult or subliminal mind in ourselves. So I was explaining subliminal mind. So there is something above you, there is something around you, there is something below you. Now to understand this, if you think of yourself as a house, okay, it's interesting. You have purchased a plot, 60-40 plot. You are not allowed to build the entire area. You are allowed to leave something at the back, okay? And there is a little bit around also in which you can build a garden, okay? Now, the superconscient, the one above you, is your second floor, third floor, fourth floor. You may not have built it, but by yoga you can build these floors, okay? Now, the ground floor is what we normally are. My body, mind, life is the ground floor. My senses are the doors and windows, okay? I can see a little bit outside. That's all, nothing much. Then the subliminal is if you go into at the back of your house, there is a kitchen garden if you want, okay? It's an open space, it's open to the sky. Now that open to the sky is what the subliminal is. In other words, you can contact the universal forces there inside. But if you're inside the house, you can't. So if you go into your subliminal, that's the kitchen garden at the back. What about the subconscious? Your cellar. What about the inconscient? Your foundation. So if you think of it in that way, it becomes quite clear. Then what about the intraconscient, that which is around you? You have an aura around you protecting you. Okay, that's your circumconscious. Srimdo calls it the circumconscious. So this is what you really are. So the subliminal he is using here, you have to understand in this way. That which is inside you and which is a storehouse. And the subliminal, your individual subliminal can also become the universal subliminal. Okay? That's interesting. Okay? Because it's open to the sky. So, in ourselves, from which thoughts and perceptions, will impulses and mental feelings arise. We can perceive too higher planes of consciousness, as I was telling you, above. Okay? So he can perceive too higher planes of consciousness from which a superior mind energy works through us or upon us. So, through us or upon us. What's the difference? When this force comes, okay, it can come and get stuck in you only, upon you. But it can work through you means you can express it in the physical world. Like our famous mathematician, Ramanujam. He used to get intuitions. Okay? And if someone got intuitions and didn't translate it to, but he actually expressed he expressed it in the world. So it is working through him into the physical world. But if it is working only upon him, then he need not have expressed it. So Surendra is making so many differences. We have to, how he uses the words and what is meaning each one. Through us or up. Through means it is not stopping at you, it is going through you. So it's coming out in the physical world through you. Surely, Einstein's theory of relativity, it was an intuition which went through him. It didn't stop with him. He expressed it in the physical world. Okay? The law of gravitation, okay, was certainly also that. Okay? So through you, okay, or upon you. So I told you, higher planes of consciousness, that is above you. So if the plot belongs to you, you are free to construct floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4 floor. Then you can do that. In our consciousness, okay, my higher mind, my illumined mind, my intuitive mind is not yet built. But by yoga I can build it. Just as in the physical world I can build my higher floors. Exactly in the same way. Okay? So we stop here.